Hi, so welcome to this podcast, and today I'm very, very fortunate to have the wonderful Anna with us. I'm going to let Anna introduce herself and then I'm going to ask her some questions. So I'm going to hand over to Anna and then we will talk all things Anna.
Hi, I'm Anna. I'm a PT at Sweatbox Bristol. I have been for a couple of years now. Started off in MMA, which led me into PTing. I'm a mum of a 10-year-old girl. I'm an MMA fighter, jiu-jitsu competitor. That's it. It's probably all the interesting things about me.
Pretty interesting. There's four big things. So competing in BJJ, MMA, a 10-year-old daughter. That's a big, and personal training. So that's three super cool things. So if you don't mind, how long have you been doing MMA then?
So it's kind of where you draw the line, isn't it? When did you start doing MMA? Do you know what I mean? My first session, I must have been like 24, so maybe about 6 years ago now, maybe a little bit longer. But I found Sweatbox, and I started taking my training really seriously when I was around maybe 25. Yeah, about 25, 24, early 24, late 24, early 25. Yeah, so quite some time now. It doesn't feel like that. You kind of look back and you're like, oh, is that me? Is it that?
Yeah. You always feel like a beginner in these things, don't you? No matter what you do.
Forever. That voice in the back of the head, as soon as you step on the mat, so you do whatever else like that, it's like, they're going to know you don't know what you're doing. But no, you've been doing it for quite a while now. So.
Yeah. And in terms of, obviously, so MMA has got lots of different components to it, hasn't it? It's got the ground, the BJJ element, the stand-up. So it's kind of quite a wide system in a way. It's got lots of elements to it. So for you, what's your kind of favourite part of it? Like, what do you really enjoy most about the training? What's your favourite to do?
I think I like, obviously you have to enjoy every bit of it because every bit of it is so grueling. But I think I fell in love with jiu-jitsu when I got that bug with jiu-jitsu. Not saying that it's my best attribute or whatever else like that, but what really gets me excited was jiu-jitsu. When I first wanted to fight, and I started Sweatbox. I've been at Sweatbox for a little while, and the wonderful Paul Reed MMA found me and took me on, and I was telling him all my pipe dreams, even though I had no fitness, no skill set, no nothing. I said, this is me. I want to fight. I'm a single mum. Like, I have no money. I have no time, but this is what I want to do. He said, okay, work on your jiu-jitsu, work on your fitness, make this weight category like a healthy weight category that was a little bit lower for me, and do this competition, which was the British Open, which was pretty scary for someone like me, who'd never been even like a domestic or small jiu-jitsu competition, or even an opposing gym. That was pretty scary. So basically mimicking fight camp for as long as I could, and then going, competing and performing at my best ability whilst under pressure, people around me. See how you do. If you enjoy it, if you enjoy that at least, then we can think about MMA, which is what I did. And that riding that camp train of like mental warfare with yourself and getting ready, getting fit, showing up every day, dealing with achy bones, dealing with the self-doubt, making weight, which is like a big thing that people don't realize is a massive attribute to getting ready for a fight. And feeling depleted, at the end of your camp, and still performing at your best ability.
Wow.
And I just fell madly in love with jiu-jitsu, and I did well for my first comp. I got a silver. There's never very many women in our categories, so you don't really get that many. It sounds a lot more impressive than it is, but for someone who's never even like won a competition at school when she was in primary school, and then coming up, I was like, I couldn't believe that I could leave with it. Like, I was like, is this mine? Like, do I get to go with this? Does this belong to, no one's going to take it off you when I leave? They're like, no.
Amazing.
So I was like, oh my God, that's amazing. And like that, having that delayed gratification.
Yeah.
And, getting that medal, and, Paul taking a photo of me and going through that with my teammates. that was like a huge thing for me. That was huge.
Amazing. Showing up in itself is just, you know, incredible. And when you were talking about it, I was like getting all tingly because I could feel you like light up as you're talking about
it. Yeah, it does me. Yeah, nice. Yeah, because I get that.
I'm alive. It's like, oh my goodness, you can see the love in your face as you're talking, and I'm like, oh my goodness, I can feel it. So, wow, that's incredible. And obviously, then from there, you've stepped in the cage as well and competed.
Yeah. I mean, I struggle with numbers and dates and stuff. So
don't worry about that.
like, I literally have to write it down. Yeah, with my dyslexia, numbers and dates. That's why I get things flicked up. But it wasn't long. It wasn't long afterwards. I was working on my striking a lot. I was working on my wrestling a huge amount because Paul is a massive boxer wrestler. He's obviously he's all round. He's a black belt jiu-jitsu and everything. But wrestling and boxing, and obviously I wanted to admit what my teammates were doing and what was around me. I wanted to be the product of my environment, so to say. So I was working a lot on my wrestling, and then there was a last minute. Again, not many girls in weight categories, and you know it's really hard to find. And then there was a last minute offer of a fight in literally 5 days.
Wow.
over in Jersey, and it was offered to Paul, and she was a really decent Thai boxer, but she'd done a lot of Thai boxing fights, but I think it was classed as her first MMA fight. And she'd had a pull out. Her opponent had rolled her ankle really bad or something, and they offered it to me. And there was a few other pullouts as well. So a few for a few teammates, some of the boys. Paul was like, "Do you want to do it?" I was like, "Yeah," straight away. No logic, no reasoning. It was just like, "Yeah, okay." I'm in. So he took the fight. I worked on just a couple of little game planning stuff, some wall work stuff. I found a teammate that was around her weight, not a female, never a female, but someone that was around her weight that could help me work and, you know, work that body frame and you know, all that leverage and stuff. And then before I knew it, it was like the night before, I had to get picked up at maybe like 6 o'clock in the morning. I'd never been on a plane before in my life, mind. I still haven't been on a plane since. So I was cacking my pants because I had to go get on a plane. I'd never been on a plane. And when I say a plane, I mean a van with wings. Oh, no. That's what I'm saying about a plane. So like, yeah. So, you know, in my own head, I thought it was like a plane, and then we walked out. So I think we had another guy, Chris Connolly. He had fought a few times before, and he was a really good boxer. We had Luke LeBega. I think it was his first fight as well. And then we had young Nathan Lowe, who he got offered it 2 days before, and he'd never fought. And he was like, I think he had very much the same mindset. He wanted to fight. He's young. He'd like, so we're all in the car, like wedged up in this car, like, thinking about their life choices at 6 o'clock in the morning, going to the airport. And then we got there, we're on the airport, doing our tickets, doing whatever, laughing everything off, you know, having good humor, that team mentality. Got on the plane, got there, and before you knew it, it was like the next day, or later that day, and I was off in the change rooms, getting changed, getting ready to put all my actual fight kit on, you know, that moment where that's it, you're done. All you got to do is put your fight kit on, get warm, and then your music comes on. So it went real quick. It went from doing the British Open and not having to worry about getting kicked straight in the face and getting put straight out to being in Jersey with Paul Reed and 3 other lads, and a very, very, very aggressive Thai fighter ready to knock my brain out in the space of a short amount of time. So
wow. And in terms of stepping into the ring for the first time, I imagine there's lots of different emotions, like excitement, nerves. I imagine there's quite a lot you go through within that period of time. Or do you have a kind of way of do you have I'm going to block this out? Some people listen to music, you know. What's your kind of strategy when you're getting in that ring to control, I guess, in some sense, some of the, well, I'm saying it from my point of view, but it could be different for you. You could be like, nope, I'm fine.
I think it is different for absolutely everyone. I think my experience is similar to a lot of others, I think. Obviously talking to your comrades and people from other gyms, but I think you do, like, for 12 weeks, you think about nothing but a 9-minute space of time, like literally, and it goes so fast. So you're stressing and stressing and stressing and stressing, and it kind of gets to the point where you're behind the walkout spot, like the start of your song's playing, you're bouncing around on your toes, and it's kind of like, well, I'm here now. Do you know what I mean? Like, this is it. Like, it's not, that's not the ledge point. The ledge point is all the way up into that point, like when you're about to take a big jump. That's the kind of point where you've already jumped, like you're ready to go, and you're kind of like, well, so well, let's go. Like, yeah. You're kind of here now. You hear your music, which is your music that you've chosen and you listen to strategically through your camp. You know, you're ready to go. Your adrenaline is at a next level high. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. You kind of just give into it a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah. It must be quite an incredible feeling. And then when you finished as well, like you say, 9 minutes. And I mean, obviously I've seen you going through training to get ready for camp when you were fighting, you know, and you were on you were cutting weight then, and it's tough, isn't it, the amount of training? Because I'd say to you, how much, at what point do you kind of ease off and you're like, not yet, I've got to keep going, I've got a fight coming up, and you're so focused, and the dedication it takes to, and I wouldn't say it's necessarily motivation, is it? Because some days you're probably not motivated, you don't want to be there because it, like you say, your bones hurt, you've got to put your body through quite a lot, so it's quite grueling, isn't it, in a way, to get ready. And how do you stay I guess, what have you got any tips and tricks for those days where you really know that you don't want to go there? You know, you're hurt, you're tired, you're hungry. Like, what gets you there? How do you do it?
Real hungry,
real
depleted. I think doing things like a little bit lower risk things like jiu-jitsu competitions. There's times where I've been at a competition and I've not been prepared. I've either cut weight wrong and not had, you know, I depleted myself and there's no way I can get it back. I've not trained enough, or I'm not fit enough, you know, and I felt unprepared. So those little voices that everybody has are doing a number on me, an absolute number on me. So it's not so much of, I mean, it's great hitting those numbers on the bike. It's great, you know, catching your sparring partners. It's great going to the end of like maybe 6 rounds and still feeling pretty fresh. It's when you get there and that voice is trying to tell you something, and you have that reasonable way you can contain that little voice and say, look, I appreciate your opinion. I appreciate that survival instinct of trying to keep me, you know, preserved and okay, but I've ticked all my boxes. I've done everything I can possibly do. I'm as fit as I can possibly get. I did not train any training sessions unless I absolutely had to, and I've recovered on it. So I'm just going to go ahead and do what I've planned to do for the past 6 weeks and sacrifice for. So it's not necessarily like a physical thing. Obviously it is, you have to reach those numbers, but it's having that tool with that mental warfare that you're going to end up getting, because it's inevitable. You're going to have it. It's built into us to survive. You know, we're beasts at the end of the day, that we're living in the wild. And that voice in there, you know, when you hear a funny noise and you bolt, do you know what I mean? It's predisposed to be there. And it's the same when you're out there and you've got to walk out and all your mates are there and your coach is there, and there's a chick there that more than anything else for the next 9 minutes wants to beat the living snot out of you. Do you know what I mean? Your brain is going to be going absolutely mental. I don't care who you are. If you say they're not, you're lying. You're lying to me. You're lying to everyone else. You're lying. So it's having that tool to combat those voices, and that is something you can take on with everything else in life. I mean,
I was going to say, you probably carry that over every day, don't you?
Every day, and it's something that I teach to my daughter. It's something that I teach to my clients. Do you know what I mean? It's very unlikely that any of the people that I teach are going to end up fighting or competing anyway. Love if they do, and some of them do. Some of them are, you know, getting ready to compete now. But that is a tool that you can take everywhere. If you've got a big job interview and you've got those voices, you know, like I said before, when you step on the mats, I'm not going to know, I don't know what I'm doing. You know, like you do know what you're doing. You have been ready for it. You have been prepared, and you have that tool to say, look, thank you for your opinion.
Yeah.
I'm going to go ahead and do what I've planned to do to better myself, and I'm going to do it to the best of my ability.
Yeah, I mean, it's incredible. Like I say, I've got a lot of admiration for you. I've seen you in action at the gym, and I think, you know, you're amazing, and I think, you know, brilliant. And they say, you know, you've also got your daughter as well, which is like, you know, another thing that you kind of, you know, huge, because she's watching and she's like, wow, my mum is strong, my mum is awesome, and that's incredible for her to see, because it will give her skills as well. Like you say, if you can combat your fear, you can, you know, she's watching, and we've already had a conversation before this about how she's becoming an incredibly strong little human, and that's because she's been watching her mama. So you know, hats off to you. Obviously, I imagine you've had some setbacks in terms of injuries and stuff, as everyone who kind of steps into any kind of training, there's always going to be injuries. What's one of the biggest injuries you've had to overcome, and has it kind of caused you to have major setbacks, or have you been quite lucky and it's been just minor things? So is there anything
I've been incredibly lucky. Luckily, again, my coach and teammates, the most important thing is training safely, and I have to be super smart, because again, like, I'm a lone parent, so like, if I'm out of the game, then it's a big problem. You know, training is really important, and me having my own identity is really important, but at the end of the day, I'm Sky's mum. So I've been really lucky. I've had minor things, like you said, you know, you're really pushing your body to the next level. So I've had like tight ACLs, funny ankles. I've rolled on my ankle pretty bad. But I think the worst I had was a break in the metatarsal, the little knuckle drop. And believe it or not, it wasn't even striking. It was when I was doing jiu-jitsu. Sorry, that's my dog playing with their toy. Alfie, we're not playing. She's trying to entice me to come off the laptop and play with her. Yeah, it was my hand. I broke my hand. I was stuck in someone's guard, so basically they were on their back and I was sat, you know, in front of them, and I was trying to break their guard, which their leg was wrapped around, so I was holding and trying to put her down. And unfortunately, she pulled back a little bit too quickly, and my finger was at full extension, and it hit the floor, and I ended up with a spiral fracture going out my hand. Yeah, and I didn't even realize it had happened when it had happened. I thought I dislocated it or something like that, or maybe I just banged it really bad. I finished the round, tried to guillotine her with the same hand. And at the very last second, I think it's just built into Paul Reed fighters. It's just, if all else fails, just try and guillotine her. And yeah, the hand wouldn't go for it. And then I didn't realize either, for like 2 weeks I was walking around with like a spiral fracture on my hand. So I was doing my hand was sore, and I'd like buddy taped it, and I was doing the bike, and I was just avoiding striking and rolling and stuff. And then, like, after 2 weeks, every time I bumped it, like, I wanted to weep, and I was like, that doesn't sound right. So I went to the emergency room, and they were like, what you want about? And it was 2 weeks, then you're fine. And then they were like, okay, you can have an X-ray. And they were like, because it was like, whoosh. Yeah, it was like that. So that's why it's like dropped so much, because the bone is shortened. Yeah. So because it breaks, and then it adapts, and then it starts doing that to fuse, which is what it did, and then that's how it's dropped. So that's why a lot of fighters have dropped knuckles, because it goes.
Yeah. Oh well, hopefully it's okay now though. You don't kind of suffer with it anymore, do you? Or is it kind of all healed?
This hand I hit him with now.
Well, I've been caught by one of them, so it's fine. I felt it. It's still there.
4-ounce gloves, man. Then there's no room for mistakes.
And then obviously, I know COVID. As we're speaking, we're in lockdown version 3 in the UK. So COVID's obviously scuppered. I think you were due to fight last year, weren't you? 2020. Obviously, that scuppered it. But I'm assuming as soon as the doors get lifted, you'll be raring to come back and to you know, get fully engulfed back into that world. It must have been really hard for you to have it taken away for you for basically a year now, really, isn't it, of not having that kind of a big part of your life. So I imagine you're raring to get back at it.
Yeah, I really am. I mean, it's not so bad for me because, again, being a mum, you kind of have to have a bit more of a rounded out life. But there's so many people on my team that live and breathe fighting. Do you know what I mean? They're bachelors or young men or women, and do you know what I mean, that they train, they eat, they sleep, they train, they eat, they sleep, and they get ready for fights. Do you know what I mean? So mental health for fighters right now is really wobbly. It's hard work. It's hard work for a lot of us. Luckily, do you know what I mean, my be and end all isn't being a fighter. My identity isn't being a fighter. But not having that to funnel into and train and better myself has been so hard. Adjusting and adapting, that's a massive thing that I've said to myself since I was really small. Change has always been a massive thing in my life. Sometimes I crave it quite a lot. I think that's why a lot of people fall into MMA, because it is that roller coaster life. Do you know what I mean? Where you just kind of have to grow and adapt. So it has forced me to adapt. It's forced me to change, potentially core values, I suppose. And just as long as I'm bettering myself and not hanging myself on my achievements and the next fight, and then maybe not necessarily living life 12 weeks at a time or 8 weeks at a time. just easing off a little bit, and just smelling the flowers, as they say.
Yeah. I think that's a really important thing that you've just touched on, actually, about not hanging your identity on things. And I think that's where a lot of people sometimes suffer, because, for example, if you're known for being strong, for example, that's your thing, that's who I am, I can press this, and you blow your shoulder and suddenly you can't. Who are you? You lose that self-worth a bit. So that's an incredible skill, to not set your identity and worth against it, because, like you say, it can be taken away at any point. So you're bigger than that, which is amazing, because you're more than that. So as though as it's been hard for you, you're still given to the world anyway, and you're still worthy in this world. Does that make sense?
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, I say it nonchalantly, like it's not something that I battle with every day and that everyone battles with every day. But yeah, I think that is really important. That is important. And you massively have to live by example. It's something I've said in other things before, but as a parent, do you know what I mean? You have to live by example. So if I'm falling to pieces because I can't do something, and then Sky can't do her artwork, or she's done something, or she's not keeping up with things, and I'm like, it's not that important, but I'm constantly giving the example of, of the opposite, then it's hard. So you learn from your kid just as much as they learn from you. Do you know what I mean? As you probably know,
Yeah. Amazing. And then obviously with lockdown, you've kind of a lot of people have been cut off from their health and fitness, but I'm assuming, are you doing stuff at home? Are you keeping fit, or have you decided to allow your body some time off as well, which all of it's okay at the end of the day? There's no right or wrong. So how have you approached it in terms of the lockdown situation?
I think I've been every version of a lockdown character because it's been so long. I have catered to every lockdown demographic. I think there's no possible way to replicate the type of training that MMA is. There's just no way. I think my fitness has been picking back up. I hate to run more than anything else in the world. Oh my God. I have, like, people say, oh my God, how do you do MMA and everything else like that? Marathon runners, like, because it's just one foot in front of the other. Do you know what I mean? Like, one foot in front of the other. There's no waffle, there's no this, there's no that. It's just like an hour and however long of one foot. I couldn't do it. So I'm trying to find my love for running and that constant state of fitness. That's and try and find that comfortability in just one foot in front of the other. Do you know what I mean? It doesn't have to be so big dramatic, you know, half an hour sparring session to get your ongoing fitness going, you know, kind of just put one foot in front of the other, you know.
Fair play to you, because you're a better person than I am for trying it.
Oh, he gets me out the house for half an hour, you know. So.
Through that, yeah, there is that, yeah. Oh, well, yeah, I mean, I just want to say thank you so much, because I think listening to you talk, I've had some light bulb moments, and I've been like, oh wow, like some of the stuff you said, it's like amazing, like, you know, it's really kind of, and listening to you light up, it's been like, I've been like, oh, getting all tingly and excited, because I can see the passion that you have behind it, and the drive, and the work that you put into it all. And like I say, you know, you are the few. There aren't many women in this stuff, because it, you know, it is scary sometimes, and it's hard work, and it's different, you know, and it has been quite male heavy for a long time. So to see somebody like you say, and to shine a light and show that, you know, it's possible, it's amazing. And I thank you very much for taking the time out to talk to us and to share your story, because it's given me inspiration. I'm like, right, I got to get out and do some running now, because I've got no excuse, or I'm going to pick up, I've got to do something, you know, I've got to ignore those voices in my head now, and I've got to start doing something for me, and to you know, so thank you. You've inspired me to get off my butt today and do something, and I'm sure you're going to inspire, well, you already do, but you know, there'll be people that haven't, and you'll reach them. So thank you so much for taking the time to speak to us. Really do appreciate it, and I'm looking forward to sharing this with everyone. So I'm gonna wrap it up, unless you've got something else that you want to add. You're more than welcome. I could chat for all day.
Yeah, for sure. I think you and me could chat for ages. Yeah.
We probably will chat after this once I press stop.
We've been in many time warps in the gym where we're both halfway out the door, and then like 45 minutes has gone, and we're like, oh.
yeah. So thank you so much, Anna. I will post this and post links to your pages as well, so people can come and check you out, and look forward to being able to see you in person at some point, and looking forward to watching you when you do make a return back to the stage, and following your journey with your next fight. So thank you very much, and yeah, best of luck and take care.
Thank you.